I never thought I'd be the kind of person who ruins a good thing. But here I am, Courtney, 29, and apparently I'm a monster. At least that's what Declan would have you believe. We'd been together for 4 years, living together for 3 of them. Things were fine at first. Great even. He was attentive, brought me coffee just how I like it. Remembered little things I said. But somewhere along the way, the excitement faded. Life became routine. Predictable? I started feeling restless. Like I was missing out on something bigger. The first sign of trouble was when I stopped wanting to tell him about my day. He'd ask, how was work? And I'd just say fine because honestly, I didn't feel like explaining everything. Then came the eye rolling when he'd tell me some boring story about his day. I couldn't help it. His voice just started to sound like nails on a chalkboard to me. I met the girls at my gym a few months ago. They were everything I wasn't free. Spontaneous? Living their best lives without answering to anyone. Brittany, the ringleader, had just broken up with her boyfriend and was posting pictures of herself in different cities every weekend. Jenna was divorced and dating multiple guys, having the time of her life. And then there was me, stuck in my domestic rut with Declan. These are your best years. Brittany told me over smoothies after a workout. You can't waste them being someone's live-in maid. I wasn't a maid, but I got what she meant. I was cooking, cleaning, keeping track of bills and appointments. It wasn't that Declan asked me to do these things. I just did them, but suddenly it felt like a burden. The girls and I started hanging out more. We'd get drinks after work, go to clubs on weekends, take spontaneous day trips. Declan would ask where I was going and with whom, and it felt so controlling. Like I needed his permission to live my life. Why do you care so much? I snapped one night when he asked about my plans. Because we live together and I like knowing you're safe, he said, looking hurt. I rolled my eyes. I'm 29, not 16. I don't need a babysitter. That's when the distance really grew. I stopped telling him things, stopped sharing details about my life. If he asked, I'd give vague answers or accuse him of being clingy. When he stopped asking altogether, I got mad at him for not caring. You can't win with some people. The haircut was the first big thing I did without telling him. I came home with shoulder-length hair when it had been down my back for years. He noticed immediately, of course. Wow, you cut your hair, he said, surprise in his voice. Yeah, I replied, not looking up from my phone. Is that okay? It's your hair, he said quietly. You don't need my permission. But the tone in his voice said otherwise. He was hurt. I hadn't mentioned it. It was just hair. But to him, it was another sign I was pulling away. Then came the cat. I've been talking about wanting a pet for ages. But Declan is allergic. One day I was at the shelter with Brittany, and there was this tiny gray kitten that climbed right into my lap. I filled out the paperwork before I could think twice. Bringing Misty home was interesting. Declan walked in from work to find me on the couch with a purring ball of fur. What is that? He asked, his eyes already starting to water. A cat, I said. Her name's Misty. You know, I'm allergic, he said, his voice tight. I'll keep her out of the bedroom, I promised. And I got allergy spray for the furniture. He didn't argue, just took some medicine and went to bed early. I could tell he was upset, but it was just a cat. He'd get used to it. The group chat came next. Feral Girl Summer, we called it. A play on the whole hot girl summer thing, but wilder. We planned trips, nights out, shared dating advice. Declan saw it once when I left my phone open and made some comment about how juvenile it seemed. It's just fun. I defended. Not everything has to be so serious all the time. Nothing about our life is fun anymore, he asked, and I could hear the hurt in his voice. I didn't have an answer for that. The Spain trip idea came up during a particularly rough week at work. I was stressed. Declan and I hadn't been intimate in weeks, and I just needed to get away. Brittany suggested a girls' trip, and within days we had it planned. I booked it without telling Declan, partly because I knew he'd try to talk me out of it, partly because I didn't want to hear about how we couldn't afford it, or how he didn't want me to go. It was spontaneous, exciting, something just for me. I told him the night before I was supposed to pay the final balance. The girls and I are going to Spain next month, I said casually as we were watching TV. He turned to look at me. What? We're going to Spain. For a week? It's a girls' trip. He just blinked at me. When did you plan this? I booked it last week, I said, trying to sound casual. You didn't think to mention it? To ask if I was okay with it. His voice was getting louder. It was spontaneous, I said with a shrug, and I knew you'd be fine with it. It's not about permission, Courtney. It's about respect. We're supposed to be partners. I hate when he gets like this, all logical and wounded. Well, I don't need your approval to take a trip. You also don't need to be in a relationship. He shot back. That stopped me cold. He'd never threatened to break up before. Part of me panicked. The other part was angry he'd say that. If the roles were reversed and you decided to go to Brazil with your single guy friends, you'd lose your mind, I said. That's different because I trust you. He said, do you even trust yourself? I asked. And that really set him off. We fought for hours that night. The same argument in different volumes. I slept on the couch. And the next few days were awful. He'd come home from work and go straight to our room. I'd make dinner and eat alone. We were strangers sharing a space. The night before my trip, I was packing in the living room. I laid out my new bikinis, tiny, colorful things I'd bought just for this trip. Declan came out of the bedroom and saw them. What's the plan for this trip? He asked, his voice tight. To live a little, I said without looking at him. The next morning, I barely made eye contact with him. See you in a week, I said, giving him a quick kiss before wheeling my suitcase out the door. I was on the plane when my phone buzzed with a text from him. I opened it, expecting some passive-aggressive comment about having fun. Instead, it just said, we're done. I'll be out by the time you land. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. He couldn't be serious. We'd fought before, but we'd never broken up. I tried calling, but it went straight to voicemail. He'd blocked me. Panic set in. I couldn't focus on the trip. The other girls tried to cheer me up, handing me drinks and telling me I was better off without him. You're free now, Brittany said. This is a fresh start. But it didn't feel fresh. It felt like I made a huge mistake. The trip was a disaster. I cried in the hostel bathroom the first few nights. Thinking about Declan, the girls kept telling me to let go and drag me to beach clubs where I drank too much and made bad decisions. On the fourth night, I met a guy at the hostel bar. He was Spanish, tall and handsome, with an accent that made me melt. We did shots of tequila and ended up back at his room. It was meaningless. Just something to make me feel wanted again. He was gone when I woke up, took a granola bar from my bag and his charger, didn't even say goodbye. I felt cheap and used, but mostly I just missed Declan. 2 weeks after I got home, I started feeling sick. At first I thought it was just stress, but when I missed my period, I bought a pregnancy test. Positive. I was pregnant with some random Spanish guy's baby. As if that wasn't bad enough, I started getting these painful sores. A trip to the doctor confirmed it herpes. The Spanish guy had left me with 2 permanent souvenirs. I tried contacting him, but he never responded to my calls or texts. I even sent messages in broken Spanish, but he left me on red and then blocked me. I was stuck, pregnant, with an STD, and alone. I had to move back in with my mom, which is its own special kind of hell. We don't get along, and she constantly reminds me of how I messed up my life. 2 months after the breakup, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove to Declan's new place. He was staying with his friend Mike and knocked on the door. When he opened it, I saw the surprise in his eyes. I was wearing one of his old hoodies, and I knew my makeup was smeared from crying. Can we talk? I asked, my voice trembling. He stepped aside to let me in. I sat on the couch and immediately started crying. I told him I was sorry, that everything had spiraled out of control. I ranted about the Spanish guy, how he ghosted me, how I was terrified, how I felt disgusting. I've been living with my mom and we're not speaking. I said, looking up at him, I know I don't deserve anything, but do you still think about me? I inched closer and put my hand on his thigh. Do you miss me? He stepped back. I can't do this. Courtney, I thought he was going to say because of the herpes, because I was pregnant, because I'd cheated, but he just said, because of everything. I broke down again and left in a complete mess. Haven't seen him since. Now I'm 5 months pregnant, living alone in a tiny apartment I can barely afford. The baby is due in January, and I have no idea how I'm going to do this alone. My mom helps sometimes, but she never lets me forget how much I messed up. The girls from the gym don't really talk to me anymore. Brittany posted something about toxic people on her Instagram story right after everything happened, and I'm pretty sure it was about me. Sometimes I think about Declan and wonder if he thinks about me too. I heard through a mutual friend that he's dating someone new, some girl who works with his friend. Apparently she's nice, stable, the complete opposite of me. Good for him. I don't regret the trip. I don't regret leaving. I just regret how it all turned out. I didn't deserve this. I was just trying to find myself, to have some fun. Is that so wrong? Everyone acts like I'm the villain in this story, but I'm not. I'm just a person who made some mistakes. Big ones. Sure, but don't we all? The baby kicks sometimes, and I wonder what kind of life I'll be able to give it. I wonder if it will have my eyes, or if it will look like that Spanish guy whose name I can barely remember. I try not to think about the herpes, about how I'll have to tell future partners, about how I might pass it to my baby during childbirth. The doctor said there are ways to prevent that, but still, it's just one more thing to worry about. Sometimes I get angry at Declan. If he had just been more understanding, if he had just let me breathe, maybe none of this would have happened. Maybe we'd still be together, excited about this baby instead of me facing it alone. But that's not how it worked out. And I'm fine, really. I don't need him. I don't need any of them. I'm Courtney, 29, and I'm perfectly fine on my own.